Well, Mike, some interesting news today as Dylan Edwards, a young man that committed to the Irish back on August the 6th after flipping from Kansas State. I guess he made a few more headlines today as he announced on social media he has a brand new offer, and it comes from Colorado, who has that new, I guess, primetime head coach and Deion Sanders. What is the significance of this offer?
I think it depends on what he ends up doing. If he ends up sticking with Notre Dame, no problem. Then he's just a name on Deion Edwards, or excuse me, Deion Sanders' many offer list. There are the many players he's offered since primetime got to Colorado. He's been there for a couple days. He's already offered up to 100 players. So, yeah. Dylan Edwards flipped from Kansas State to Notre Dame. And Darren, we're going to talk in a bit about, players who have, flipped to Notre Dame and flipped from Notre Dame and all that kind of stuff. Edwards is on that list of a player who was at Kansas State. Now he's, committed to Notre Dame, and I don't expect him to now be on the list of players who were committed to Notre Dame and flipped elsewhere. Signing days in 15 days. And, I think that, you get an offer from Deion Sanders. It's an exciting thing. You're going to think about it and you're excited to talk to him. But at the end of the day, for Dylan Edwards, I think he's going to stick with Notre Dame. And I think the timing of the offer is interesting because it happened Tuesday morning, and then this evening Notre Dame's supposed to have a visit with him. So it's Marcus Freeman, the head coach. You got Dylan McCullough, the position coach, and then also Harry Hiestand, the offensive line coach for Notre Dame will be there because Notre Dame's also has Joe Otting, the offensive lineman, committed in Kansas. So those three are just together today. So it's kind of cool to have Hiestand there, though, to be like, hey, this is the offensive line you're going to run behind. So, I personally don't think that there's any concern here for Notre Dame, but it is Deion Sanders we're talking about, and it is recruiting. So who knows? But again, from what I'm told, Irish should be in good position here.
Since you mentioned those three coaches are going to visit with Dylan Tuesday night, the coaches are all over the country right now. A couple of days into them being on the road, has anything stood out to you?
Not a great deal. It mostly to be expected. A lot of checking in with the high school 2023 players who are committed to Notre Dame. Coaches hit the road last Friday. Chris O'Leary had a multi-hour home visit with Peyton Bowen, the 5-star safety commit, and heard it went really well, but there's not, it's still the same stuff with Oklahoma thinks they're getting them. Notre Dame thinks they're getting them. We'll see. You had several coaches from Notre Dame go and visit Jaden Lamar on what would that have been? I'm losing track of the days. What's today? Today's Tuesday.
Yep.
So they visited him Monday morning, had breakfast with them, had a full family and family friend picture with several Notre Dame coaches. So a lot of just checking in with the commits, making sure they're solid. Jaden Lamar is still being pursued by Oregon, and had a story at him at blueandgold.com that you could check out. Wrote that on Tuesday. And there's still a lot of Darren, like Notre Dame recruiting these transfers as well. And that's being kept more off the radar. I don't think that Notre Dame wants it out there what their business is right now in the transfer portal. Now, if they offer a scholarship to a player, which we've already seen them offer a couple wide receivers, a couple defensive linemen. Now those players are putting out on Twitter, but in terms of where they're going and who might be visiting, that's being kept a little bit more off the radar. Like Tommy Rees, I think this week he's going out and he's looking at transfer quarterbacks. So definitely something to keep an eye on when that information becomes available.
Well, since you kind of dip your toe into the transfer portal waters there, why don't we just have a quick conversation about which I think without a doubt is the most intriguing storyline, and that is Tommy Rees looking at quarterbacks. Now, I wrote down three names, and you can say to those or love them or whatever, but three quarterbacks that seem to make sense to Notre Dame. A guy that your colleague Tyler Hork has talked about for a while, Hudson Card from Texas, but yep. Alabama, Georgia reportedly in on him. You got an interesting left-handed quarterback from Virginia, Brennan Armstrong, a big 2021. Changed offensive coordinators, had a down 2022. And then Devin Leary, who's had injury concerns at North Carolina State. Do any of those three kind of get your attention as someone that might be a good fit for Notre Dame? Is there someone that's on your radar? How do you look at this whole situation?
Yeah. And following like the NFL and free agency, I know like GMs and those scouts always do homework of why are you a free agent? Why didn't your team you were with
Good
work
point.
to like re-sign you? Or if he wanted to get out of there, is it damaged goods? Like, what is it? It's kind of the same thing with the transfer portal now. It's like, you just mentioned the couple guys there. It's like, but there's a but. He struggled in 2022. Oh, he's got injury history. Hudson Card got beat out. Like, a lot of this job as a coach is being a detective. You got to figure out what's the situation. So for me, Darren, sign me up for any of them. There are so many quality quarterbacks for Notre Dame to potentially get. There's so many in the transfer portal. It's crazy. It's crazy. You could list off so many. Got the Clemson quarterback, DJ. Spencer Sanders.
There you go.
Was that the Oklahoma State quarterback? JT Daniels is going on his 8th school. I mean, there's seriously so many. Slovis hit the portal, right? Is that right? Slovis?
Yeah.
I think so. A homecoming for Phil Jacoba. Totally kidding. But seriously, so many quarterbacks in the portal. Hudson Card and Devin, the three you mentioned are kind of the big ones that are on the wish list, at least for Notre Dame fans and media. Hudson Card is definitely one. They're in contact with these guys from what I understand, especially Card. Leary, not as familiar with Armstrong's situation, but for me, Leary and Card are the ones I'm keeping the most eye on. But everyone's pursuing these guys. I mean, they're hot commodities. Everyone wants that big time quarterback. And it's kind of a situation where it's like, unless you're USC, you want a quarterback. Unless you got some young stud already in your program, you're probably going to look to add more, quality arm talent at that position. And obviously Notre Dame's in that boat as well.
I guess we didn't expect, and this is my way of phrasing this. I expect Notre Dame to have a bridge quarterback year last year. I didn't think it was going to be back-to-back years of having a bridge quarterback. So things are working out a lot differently than I expected at the start of the year. But I would assume, Mike, when you have to go into the transfer portal and you have to look for a quarterback, that still doesn't change anything in terms of quarterback recruiting. You still have to bring in those quality arms each and every year at the quarterback position. You don't want to live in the world of the transfer portal. I know Lincoln Riley brought in, really good quarterbacks, and there's Heisman Trophy winners that came from Norman, but that can't be Notre Dame's world, right?
All right, Darren, appreciate you for going on a longer monologue there, because my phone seriously, it just will not stop blowing up. Hey, Jordan Johnson just entered the transfer portal, getting contact from sources. Today's been absolutely bonkers. The life of a Notre Dame reporter. It's not as glamorous as it might seem, I promise you.
So you don't have two phones yet like Schefter has?
Not yet.
That's on the list.
Yeah, hopefully not. Darren, we've talked about this. Because I thought they should have taken a portal quarterback for this upcoming season, or this past season. I don't think they did, and this is Mike Singer's opinion. This is not what other people tell me. I don't think they did because it's an ego thing. I don't think that Notre Dame and Tommy Rees wanted to go back years taking a portal guy, because then it's like, what are you doing in high school recruiting? Why can't you recruit your own guys to start? And Tyler Buckner was that guy. He's the next golden child, or whatever term you want to go with, and obviously that didn't work due to injury, and then you go to Drew Pine and played very well, all things considered, but he's out. And I've said this so many times, so folks, if you listen to me all the time, you're probably tired of hearing me say this, but this ain't Brian Kelly's Notre Dame. This is Marcus Freeman's Notre Dame, and it's all about competition, bringing in as many guys and let the best man win. Under Brian Kelly, probably doesn't transfer. Like Marcus Freeman said, he sat Drew Pine down and said, "Hey, we're probably going to bring in a transfer quarterback here," and that's Pine doesn't, and I get why Pine left. This could be his third straight year vying for the starting job and not winning it. So I totally understand that. But there, just look at the specialists from this past season. They brought in transfers at like long snapper, punter, kicker, everywhere. Bringing all these guys, let the best man win. They had scholarship players already at those positions, but no, bring in more survival of the fittest type deal. And I think that's what's going to happen at quarterback. They're going to bring in a transfer. You're going to have Tyler Buckner. You're going to have Steve Angeli compete. It's just going to be more transfer portal incomings, more transfer portal outgoings. This is the reality of college football, and it's certainly the reality for Notre Dame.
Well put.